Hi everyone, my name is Lauren. I am one of Mama's pelvic floor and women's health physiotherapists. Physiotherapy at Mama involves looking after you through both your pregnancy as well as the postpartum period. Today I'm here to chat about the importance of pelvic floor muscle training that is especially important to commence antenatally, hence the reason for giving this talk. If any of the symptoms that we discussed today are problems for you, it's really important that you come in and see one of our clinicians or another local pelvic floor physiotherapist to you. To access physiotherapists that are in different areas of Melbourne, you can visit a website which is called CFA Physiotherapists, so www.cfaphysio.com.au. From there, you can type in the suburb that you live in and it will give you a location, a distance of 5-10 kilometres that you can research the people who have postgraduate qualifications in pelvic floor rehabilitation. It's really important to distinguish the difference between a pelvic floor physiotherapist and a women's health physiotherapist. A women's health physiotherapist may be somebody who has a special interest in women's health related conditions, but may not necessarily have additional training in internal vaginal and rectal examinations, which is and has been shown to be the best way to assess pelvic floor muscle function. So, what exactly are your pelvic floor muscles? I'm sure all of you have heard of them, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we know exactly what to do. So the pelvic floor muscles are a group of muscles that sit at the base of the pelvis. They provide support for the pelvic organs. They provide a role in continence, so helping to maintain control of both your bladder and your bowels, and they also play a role in sexual function as well. The pelvic floor muscles sit from the pubic bone at the front and wrap all the way around to the tailbone at the back. So they almost act like a hammock for the pelvis. If these muscles are weak or if they're not working well, so in some cases those muscles could be really tight, then that can impact your bladder and your bowel health and can impact the way that things are supported within the vaginal tissue. So what sort of symptoms might you notice if your pelvic floor muscles aren't working well? Leaking urine when you cough or you sneeze or you exert yourself. Leaking urine on the way to the toilet when you feel the urge that you need to go. You may find that you don't empty out your bladder or bowels particularly well, and that can be associated with your pelvic floor potentially being a little bit more tight. It might be that you need to go to the toilet really frequently, which is obviously very normal in pregnancy, but if this is something that has been a problem for you prior to pregnancy, then it's really important that you contact either your GP or somebody like myself. It might be that you feel a heaviness or a dragging or a pulling sensation in the vagina, or you've actually noticed a lump or a bulge on wiping. It might be that you have difficulty controlling your bowels, so it may be that you get more of an urgency to go to the toilet from a bowel perspective, or you actually leak stool on the way, or it might be that you have difficulty controlling passing of wind. Another really common problem that we see both in pregnancy and postpartum is pain with sexual intercourse or something being inserted into the vaginal space, whether that be a tampon, whether that be with a pap smear, or whether that be with some of the ultrasounds that you've noticed that you've had during pregnancy. So if any of these problems are conditions that you are experiencing, it is really important to come and see a pelvic floor physiotherapist or to discuss them with your midwife or GP. The most important thing that I would like to get across is that there's a large amount of evidence supporting anybody who has gone through a pregnancy or through childbirth seeing a pelvic floor physiotherapist. There are numerous studies out there that show that if we can optimize or improve your pelvic floor muscle function in pregnancy, that you'll be more likely to have better longer-term pelvic floor health following the delivery. So what exactly do I do in terms of my job? So as I said, we may do a vaginal examination, we may do a rectal examination if that's needed. If you don't consent to either of those procedures, then that's equally fine as well. What we might do is just visualise the tissue to check that you're doing a vaginal examination correctly. Our job is to make sure that those muscles can contract really well and relax really well. So you can get started with some exercises at home. So in terms of doing your pelvic floor exercises, there's no magic position that you need to be in. You need to move into a comfortable position. So the easiest position to start off with is often lying down. However, obviously sometimes in pregnancy you can feel uncomfortable lying down, so that can be on your back, on your side for the pelvic floor exercises. But during pregnancy, a lot of the time I would be encouraging people to lie on their side to do these exercises. That would be the easiest position to start off with, but you can obviously do them in a sitting or a standing position as well. So when you do a pelvic floor contraction, you're aiming to slowly squeeze around the anus and the vagina, lifting upwards and drawing these muscles forwards and inwards at the same time. So imagine you're trying to stop passing of wind, or you're trying to stop the urine mid-flow. You need to continue to breathe normally and ensure that your legs and your bottom and your abs aren't all working at the same time. And at the end of each squeeze, you should feel a distinct feeling of letting go and relaxing fully. If you don't feel that feeling of letting go, then that could be an indication that your pelvic floor muscles are actually a little bit overactive. In terms of the length of time for hold, there's no magic number. Everybody is really quite different. So let's just say, for example, I could hold for 3 seconds. So I drew upwards and inwards and held 2, 3. And then if I got to 3 seconds and kind of went, I'm not really sure that I'm holding it still, I'd rather you relax out at that point in time, have at least the same length of time rest, and then repeat the action again. So some people could hold for 3, some people could hold for 10. Everybody is different. What is most important is when you're doing your pelvic floor exercises that you feel fatigued at the end of doing a set of them. So let's say, for example, I could do 10 repetitions of 3 seconds. If I went to do the 11th, I went, actually, I can't really hold well, or I feel like there's not much left to contract, then that would be 1 set. And then ideally, we'd aim for 3 sets of those exercises a day. When to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist? So my recommendation is that absolutely everybody sees one in pregnancy, and Callie will be able to discuss with you how to book in to see us here at the clinic. However, we wouldn't generally not suggest doing a vaginal examination in first trimester. Otherwise, every other stage of the pregnancy is fine to do a vaginal examination. So potentially later than somewhere around the 15-16 week mark. So from there on in the pregnancy would be when I would pop in to see a pelvic floor physiotherapist. Postpartum, we always encourage people to book in around the 6 to 8 week mark. And that is to help with assessment of prolapse, to double check that you're doing the right thing from a pelvic floor perspective, and to give you some guidance on return to sport and exercise following your delivery. So if you have any questions at all, please chat to the Mama Birth team after this presentation or at the end of your session. Otherwise, please feel free to book in. You can book via the Mama website, or you can book via my personal website, which is www.growphysio.com.au. You'll have received some education in terms of pre and postnatal pelvic floor strengthening in your information that you've got today, so that will go through everything that I've discussed. Other reasons, I guess, for popping in to see us would be pregnancy-related back pain, pelvic pain, if you're experiencing any hand or wrist pain, if you've been told that you've got some abdominal muscle separation, or experiencing any pain in the coccyx. They're all conditions that we would also help out with as well. So I wish you the absolute best of luck for your the remainder of your pregnancy and for your role as new parents. Take care.